Yes, guys, welcome to Chasing Green Arrows. This is FPL Insight. I'm Gianni, the FPL guy, and I'm joined by Dean Jones, the football insider. Dean, how are you, mate?
I'm okay, mate. Well, I say okay. The first game of the weekend is getting underway soon, and I think it's already a bad week for me. It's not looking great, is it? The team news just starting to break.
Yeah, it's not looking brilliant. This is a week, of course, where loads of managers are looking at using chips. Many of you may have used your free hit. Some, like me, may have thought you don't need to use your free hit because you're confident with your 8 men. Well, 2 of those 8 don't look like they're starting tonight for me. But before we talk about it, let's just tee up the first feature, which is, of course, fresh off the press. We've got to start with it, haven't we, Dean? The Liverpool, well, not Liverpool, I'm all over the place. The Leeds lineup and the Wolves lineup. Now, guys, you'll see at the bottom of the screen, we've put the starting 11s. And I like doing these streams post-deadline because we can react and it is quite funny. Let us know in the chat if you've got... Yeah, it's not funny. What am I talking about? If you've got players missing out in the chat, let us know. Who have you got missing out already, Dean? Because I've got Rafinha and Kilman not in the 11s.
Same. The worst thing is I've only got 6 players in the first place. Oh my goodness! I mean, the season gets worse and worse, doesn't it? Yeah, Luke says FPL Twitter is going to go absolutely mental. Rightly so. What's happened to Kilman? He's been like one of the players of the year, and suddenly he's like out in the cold.
Yeah, it's a strange one. Knowing he played last time out as well. I know he didn't the time before that. We just thought, it was just one random rest. But no, it doesn't look like it. I mean, Body did play well, but I thought if he wanted to get Body more minutes, then maybe Seiss would drop out or someone else. But it's a strange one on Kilman. I'm so disappointed there because, yeah, my 8 is down to 6. These were players that we thought were pretty nailed. Like Rafinha and Kilman don't miss many. All week I've been saying, don't use the free hit chip because the upside isn't big enough. Well, if I knew I had 6 players, and there's even rumours that Ramsdale could be mistraining and could be out, that could be 5, and it would just be an absolute nightmare. Like, that would be worth using the free hit, of course.
Oh, mate, yeah. I mean, you're struggling with 6. I started with 6. I'm down to 4. Fergus said he's loving it because he's on a free hit with neither. Well, good for you, Fergus. That's just rubbing it in. Sounds of us. Nuclear Athens said Kilman got killed by Bolly. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, anyway, look, it's a bad start, but we all knew that this was going to be a tough week. I don't think there's many people out there that are going to have an absolute blinder this week because there's no obvious fixture to hang it on. You're like, even if you're going with Tottenham and Arsenal players this week, which is as an obvious bet as you can get, like they're not really a sure thing, are they? So, yeah, this is team news, which was half expected in terms of Rafinha. I know you were tempted earlier in the day to perhaps have a switch around there, but Kilman, yeah, it's just bad luck really that they've rotated that again.
Guys, let us know what you think of the whole sort of buzz and rumour on FPL Twitter, because I think pretty much everyone watching is part of that community on Twitter. Now, when you see those rumours, like we saw earlier with Rafinha, do you take them with a pinch of salt like I did, or do you go, oh, actually, I'm going to react to this? For me, like, I'm looking for those blue tick accounts. Like, if someone like Dean is going to post about Rafinha, then straight away I'll be like, okay, yeah, this is legit. But when there's no blue tick account going, Rafinha's definitely out or he's definitely got COVID, I don't ignore it, 100% ignore it, but I massively take it with a pinch of salt.
Yeah, well, there's that Liverpool one last week, wasn't there? Whereas like Van Dijk
COVID.
Yeah, COVID, and a lot of people were panicking about that, and they played with basically their normal 11. So it's rare that Twitter rumors turn out to be true, to be honest. And I usually just ignore them and try and put in a call for myself if I'm looking for a bit of reassurance. But yeah, in this case, maybe I should have done that because that is bad news for us and for Leeds, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Big loss for Leeds there. Nuclear Atoms is saying, what did Cam take the hit? Yeah, so I did an Instagram live at 6:15 just before the deadline, and Nuclear was trying to persuade my wife to take a 4-point hit to bring in Harry Kane. And yeah, she was all set to captain Son. She had Son and Kulusevski, but we just felt that Kane was needed this week, and he's obviously the standout captaincy option. Jasper, good evening to you as well, mate. Dean, international break is on the horizon, and with that, we always see Liverpool players getting injured. Mo Salah, Trent. I mean, Trent seems like it's a hammy, and it was reported a few days back. And Salah had, of course, been carrying a cut, I think it was. But both these guys aren't in their international squads. They'll get a nice rest. Titles there to be won. What do we think? They'll probably be back for game week 31 because that's what tends to happen around international breaks, right?
Salah will be, yeah. Salah will be all right, I think. Trent, I don't know. Like, I wasn't totally convinced by what I was reading and hearing from Jurgen Klopp. So I think that one might be a bit more in the balance. So that we'll have to judge that a bit nearer the time and see whether he's likely to play. But I'd say if he was to miss one, it's probably only going to be one, because I think it's one and then the Man City game, isn't it? He's not going to miss Man City. It doesn't seem like it's serious enough for that. But it just makes me wonder if they might consider leaving him out the first one back if he's not 100%, just because you really, really want him for the biggest game of the season.
Yeah, I think so. Like, if it was City's title and there was, 10 points gap, and Liverpool were resting players for Champions Leagues, or they might not risk players when they're at 80% fitness, you don't risk someone like Trent. But knowing it's so tight and looking at the title, Dean, like this week, we're reacting to Man City more drop points on Monday night, Liverpool winning despite not playing well for the first hour. And it's in both of their hands, right? Because they play each other. It's in City's hands, but it's in Liverpool's hands as well. It's a pretty fascinating title race.
It is, yeah. And what will happen is that game will probably be a draw, and then one of them will slip up somewhere else. Like that, there'll be just a random game somewhere that someone just loses their focus or gets a decision go against them, and it tilts the title in somebody else's favour. So, yeah, I mean, it's obviously going to be a massive match, but I don't actually think that is where the title will be decided. I think there'll be a twist somewhere else in those last 9 games.
Yeah, I'm sure you're right. Like that Liverpool City game, like Sky Sports, of course, will bill it as winner takes all. But of course, winner doesn't take all. There's still a lot of football to be played, and of course, that game takes place in just a couple of weeks. There'll be 8 game weeks still. When looking at Liverpool and City, who would you go for? Like, if you were to put your house on one, do you have a favourite?
I've said City all season, but I just feel like there's a momentum that Liverpool are building at the moment is just, it feels relentless and almost unavoidable that they carry this on and win the title. I mean, I just get the feeling that Liverpool believe they are going to win every game, and it's just a matter of keep going, we're going to win. Like, the fans seem to really believe it, and the players believe it. I'm not sure that Man City have that same feeling.
It is reminiscent of 2 seasons. Was it 2 or 3 seasons ago? I think it was 2019 when Liverpool and City were just neck and neck, and it just seemed like it was written in the stars for Liverpool. And it's the stars may be aligning again. Luke thinks Liverpool will win. Nuclear Atoms is saying Liverpool will stumble against Gerrard's Villa. Interesting take there. Mohammed, Liverpool have got the tougher fixtures, and of course fixtures are important. There we go, guys. Look, if you're already liking this video, thank you. 11 of you have liked it so far. If you haven't liked it, do give us a thumbs up. Now, question for the chat: can we get to 1,000 subscribers between now and the end of the season? Between now and game week 38, can we get to 1,000? I think we can. 727 subscribers so far. So look, if you can, guys, help us get there. Get your questions in tonight as well. Really want this chat to be interactive this evening. We're here to answer your questions. I'll keep flashing up on screen. Loving to see some new faces as well. So if you are new, let us know and we'll give you a shout out. Dean, shall we move on to our first feature, which we do every week? Now, it's very difficult most weeks, but this week I feel like it's a little bit easier because we're not looking at top 4 teams, which might make Pep Roulette a little bit easier. So without further ado, let's move on to Pep Roulette. Here we go. Usually it's Man City, Chelsea, United, Liverpool. Well, this week we're of course looking at teams predicted 11s that are actually playing this week. So we've gone for the 3 biggest, highest ranked teams: Arsenal, Spurs, and then we've gone Villa instead of, say, your Wolves, for example. So let's start with Arsenal, Dean. Who have you got in your predicted 11?
Yeah, so it's pretty much as you expect. Now, the only one that's really going to be different here, I mean, Smith Rowe is in there at the moment. Now, if Odegaard is 100% for this game, Odegaard will play. Like Arsenal now have a trio that is tried and tested in Xhaka, Partey, and Odegaard, and that is their strongest midfield three. I've heard a few things about Odegaard perhaps being lethargic, perhaps being a doubt for this one, and so Smith. I was actually doing what you do, and I checked some photos before coming on just to see if I could see Odegaard. I actually couldn't see him, so doesn't mean he's not playing, but I had heard that there was a possibility he was on the bench for this one just because he was not 100%. So Smith Rowe's in here. Doesn't 100% mean it's a toss-up. So if Odegaard does miss out, then obviously Smith Rowe will play. But that'd be a blow for Arsenal to not have their strongest team available. And I think that the one thing that we've seen about this Arsenal team's resurgence is the fact they've found a midfield combination that works. Earlier in the season, they were trying different things. Even Maitland-Niles was playing in there at time. And they were just trying stuff that wasn't working. And eventually, they've gone with Xhaka, Partey, and Odegaard, and they haven't really looked back since December. That they've just been relentless in what they're trying to do. Partey obviously couldn't play for a bit in Jan, but then since he's back, they're back on track again. So, yeah, I think that Arsenal, if they can get their strongest 11 out, will be very confident that they can get the job done. And Saka will play, Martinelli will play, and Lacazette's got absolutely no competition for a shirt.
Yeah, no, I like it. I'm with you on that 11. I think if the Odegaard Smith Rowe is the only one we're not sure on. There were rumours that Ramsdale didn't train, but again, like for me with goalkeepers, I always think that of course no one can play injured, but I always think if a goalkeeper's got a knock, I still think they're more likely to play than an outfield player. So for me, the fact he hasn't trained for one day doesn't worry me too much. I guess the other slot is Cedric at right back, isn't it? Like he seems nailed in that position now, and Tomiyasu was playing so well, but then was out injured, and Cedric has kind of made that spot his own, and now Cedric is kind of owns that shirt, right?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like Tomiyasu's ready fully either, and there's absolutely no reason to take Cedric out at the moment. Like he's done really well, and he's when he made this transfer, I wasn't sure whether he'd be up to it, but he's proven himself slowly. Like he's a very, very good player and very capable. So big test it's going to be for Arsenal, but I think they're up for it. Villa are basically going to have to put in the perfect performance, I think, because Arsenal are literally one of the most informed teams in Europe across the past few months. Think about when they've slipped up. First time they had that win streak of 5 games, it was broken by Man City, and then they've had another 5-game win streak. It's been broken by Liverpool. There's no problem with losing to Man City and Liverpool. Like that's okay. It's about how you react to it. It's about making sure that you get the points against teams like Villa if you want to get that top 4 spot.
Yeah, good stuff. Kazi is saying, how's it going? Who's your captain this game? Kazi, my captain is Harry Kane this week. And you're going to see our teams coming up in the next 10 minutes or so. Jasper's asked about, I was just mentioning Odegaard would be a huge miss. And he has been creating so many chances, Dean. Like, arguably, he's become one of the most vital cogs in that Arsenal formation, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think in the first half of the season, again, I just didn't feel that he had the confidence to play at his highest level. And I've always been a bit unsure about whether he could make that step up. But honestly, the last few months, Odegaard has absolutely proven that he is the player that he's been billed as since he was like 15 years old. He's coming up with the goods time and time again. And it's really, really been impressive to see that he can do that, to show that he's got the mentality to hold out and prove that he's worthy of being in this Arsenal team. And I think Arteta's delighted with the unity that he's got in that squad.
Yeah, I think you're right. And Arteta clearly wants to play with that out-and-out 10. And Smith Rowe, whilst he can play 10, can also play wide. And I feel like Smith Rowe's best position is out on that left in the same role as Martinelli. And FPL Rivers mentioning he's unlucky to be on the bench so often, and he is. But he is still getting a huge amount of minutes. Like he's often the first sub, impact sub. He'll, of course, start a lot of cup games. And we forget, like, this is Smith Rowe's breakthrough season. The others are more established players, Yeah, they're young, but Saka's been around for a while. Gabriel Martinelli, I feel like he's been around. His breakthrough season was probably 2 years ago. Probably the same with Odegaard, even before that. As you mentioned, he was 15 when he got his move to Real Madrid. So Smith Rowe's got to kind of wait in line, I feel. But yeah, very unlucky. And he'll still be fairly happy, I would have thought. Like, he's getting a huge amount of minutes still. Luke says there were rumours of a slight injury to Saka. Nothing to know. I haven't seen that.
Do not go there. Do not start that. Good. No, go away. No, go away, Luke. I've just lost 2 players out of 6. I can't go down to 3.
Imagine, like, he's pretty much in most teams as well. That would absolutely kill it. Daniel, good to see you, Daniel Valentine. We haven't seen you comment on this channel before, I don't think. So
No.
welcome. If you haven't already subscribed, Daniel, Mondays and Fridays at 7, we do these. What a week to free hit. Rafinha and Trent out. Doubt around Ramsdale. A week that looked poor to free hit now looks brilliant. It probably does. And do you know what the best thing is? If you're on a free hit, and even if you put Rafinha and Ramsdale and Kilman in your 11, there's a very good chance you had a very good bench, because spending 100 million on this week's free hit was really difficult. I think I spent 95 million and I went as premium as I could. So you'll have a good bench as well.
Yeah, that's a good hit that everybody's had this week if they've gone for it. I know a lot of people held back because they just feel that there's more value to be had in other game weeks when there's some of the other bigger teams playing against, teams that they should trounce, let's say. But yeah, I mean, this week when you had barely any players to pick from, it's looking nice for those guys. It's going to be a strange one to see, like, who gets the big points this week. Like, I just don't know. I mean, like you say, Harry Kane is the most obvious one you can predict. But apart from that, I don't really know where they're going to come from.
Yeah, we kind of need Spurs and Arsenal to go big, and I'm not sure if we're going to see that. I mean, Villa, let's have a look at their 11. I mean, Villa's 11, you look at it on paper and think, this is a team that can go toe-to-toe with Arsenal.
Yeah, Villa have got a lot to play for because, almost every player in this side is playing for their future at the club. Steven Gerrard is just not willing to tell anybody in that squad that they're safe. I think that Coutinho, he'll be safe if he wants to join Aston Villa. He can join and he'll play every single minute because Steven Gerrard loves him. I think Ramsey will be feeling very confident about where he's got to, and I think probably Watkins, he'll be feeling good too, and McGinn. Beyond that, like, honestly, I think that any of those players could be sold and could be replaced, and they'll be replaced by somebody better. So Villa have got a lot to play for. Like, in terms of the league table, it doesn't really look like that, but I think on an individual basis, they've got a lot to prove to Steven Gerrard, and they have been a little bit flaky at times. They've lost results at times when you didn't expect it, but Gerrard will want them to perform in the biggest games, and he won't want to lose to Arsenal, no chance. So I think this is a really big game, and yeah, I think that this lineup is probably going to be bang on.
What do you think to someone that Gerrard clearly rates? Like, he's bought him in the late last window. He's got a worldie assist and a pretty good goal in the last 2 weeks. Callum Chambers, like, I didn't see that move happening, and he's in the 11. Like, he's keeping some good players out, right? Like, Konsa's benched at the moment. Konsa, I often think is actually Villa's number 1 centre back, and he's benched. Yeah. So Chambers, is that one you think is fairly safe just because Gerrard clearly has seen something in him? You must have watched him at Fulham.
I definitely think he's testing him to see if he is up to it. I think he's got a few concerns about Konsa. Chambers he's been playing at such a high level since he was such a young age.
Yeah.
He's just always quite struggled to maintain the level that is needed to stay in an 11 of this ilk. Like, Aston Villa are looking to really push on next season. They want to be in that European conversation. I'm not sure that Chambers is going to fit into that. But whenever you doubt him, he seems to bounce back. So fair play to him.
Yeah. Is he a centre-back, Dean? Because you would have seen him at Fulham play in a variety of positions, including in midfield at times. Like, we've seen him at fullback a lot at Arsenal, and I think when he was on loan, was it Borough? But yeah, I mean, I think he probably wants to be a centre-back, does he?
I think he wants to be, and I think that's the big concern, is whether he can handle it on a weekly basis. And I think that's the biggest challenge for him now, to show that he can do that. As I say, I'm not convinced, but this will be a big test for him to see what he can do here. Luke says that Villa will definitely score against Arsenal. They attack well. Coutinho's been amazing. Ramsey got double digits last time out. Big game, and Stevie G's Villa will turn up. Yeah, I do think that. I think Arsenal will win this game, I have to say, because I think that Arsenal have risen to challenges too of their own, and I think they're a better team than Aston Villa. I think Arsenal are one of the best teams in the Premier League actually at the moment. To be honest, outside of the top 2, I'd say they give Chelsea a good fight right now to be the 3rd best team in this league. Chelsea probably just pipped them, but I think this is the best Arsenal unit we've seen for a long time. So yeah, Villa are still going to have to be at their best.
Guys, you may know from the Ranks FC podcast that Dean hosts, they do Melon of the Week. Well, we on this YouTube stream do something called Comment of the Week. comment of the day even. So look, get your comments in. We'll be picking out the best comment that we've seen today in the chat at the end of the show. It can be creative as you want. Charlie Ruskin, hello to you, mate. Why isn't Rafinha starting? I mean, the rumours were COVID. I don't think anything has been confirmed yet, Dean. But at the moment, players that get COVID, they're usually out for only a game at the moment, which is fairly positive at least. Rafinha, there is a good chance he is back next week, especially with the international break.
Yeah, it's becoming more and more strange, the whole COVID thing, because like in general life now, you can pretty much do whatever you want when you've got COVID. Like there's not really any restrictions in the UK around it now. Yet at the moment, players are not being able to play when they test positive for COVID. It's like I do wonder if there comes a time when actually they will be allowed to play. So we'll soon start finding that out. Probably going to be next season now. But yeah, it does look like this is a COVID case, and if that is what it is, then he'll be back for the next game.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the Spurs 11. And again, like I'm looking at these 11s, Dean. I think you've got a good chance of getting 33 out of 33. Like it could be a clean sweep. This one kind of picks itself at the moment.
I think so, yeah. Unless I've missed something that's happened. I don't know. I saw a couple of likely lineups had Sessegnon back in instead of Reguilon, but I wasn't convinced about that. So yeah, this is where I'm at with it. This might be Spurs' best team, possibly.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, so when Sessegnon was first ruled out, I'm sure Conte was quoted saying after the international break, there was something along those lines. So we should see Reguilon.
That's what I'd heard. I'd heard that it wasn't likely to be back for this one. Obviously, it is a huge game for Tottenham. And I think that, on the back of West Ham, such a tough game on a Thursday night, they could be there for the taking. I mean, these two sides, very similar really in terms of quality this season and what they've been getting, fighting the same area of the division. Both have got outside hopes of getting in that top four. Luke says Sessy's injured for a few weeks, so that's good news for this lineup I've gone for. But yeah, I think that this Tottenham team looks capable to get a big win here. And I know that on FPL terms, that's a big deal because a lot of people have obviously been finding ways to get these Tottenham players in. And Reguilon, I imagine, will be one of those, to be honest. I imagine quite a few people have been tempted to bring in Reguilon this week just because of the potential for a clean sheet and also the potential for assists. I think Harry Kane is very, very likely to score in this game. It's just a matter of if it's one or two, really. So, yeah.
Hey, we could do with some Roberto Carlos assists. Thanks for that, Nuclear. Yeah, I mean, many of us bought in Doherty, and we did that for the attacking returns. Like Reguilon, I think FPL River, you're right. I'm pretty confident he starts. He's probably more likely to start even than Doherty, who, of course, has a fit Emerson Royale breathing down his neck, but hasn't done anything to be dropped just yet. In terms of price, I think you save around $500,000 on Doherty versus Reguilon. So if money's an issue, that's probably why most went Doherty. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see attack returns from either. They are encouraged to get forward. It's very much a front five in that Conte system. Front five, back five. And the front five includes the wing backs, not in the back five, but in the front five.
I think that Nuclear was going for comment of the week there, by the way, with the Roberto Carlos. I think that's an early contender.
He took over, did that come from? I'm sure I saw something like, to celebrate St. Patrick's Day, Doherty took over the Spurs Twitter feed on a Q&A for I think it was 10 minutes. And did someone say, what do you think to being referred to as Roberto Carlos or something? And he commented being like, oh, at least it's not, I don't know, Joe Blogs like I was getting a month ago when I was rubbish.
I saw that he was doing a takeover, but I didn't actually see the results of the takeover. I just saw them say sensible questions only, please. So maybe that was part of that. It would make sense.
Yeah, Mohammed's made a good point here. Like West Ham, are we underestimating them, knowing that they would say they are still in that top four race? I'm not sure they are, but they've been very good this season. They've been good against good teams as well. We're just assuming that Spurs are going to go big. West Ham could have a European hangover though, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's really not much between them, and I'm not ruling West Ham out of this game. I'm not saying that. I just think that this is a massive opportunity for Tottenham. They have to step up at some point and show that they are worthy of being a Champions League side. And they've got to prove to Conte that they're worth hanging around next season for, like a lot of these players. And Kane is playing himself into such form that it's hard to write him off. And that's the problem, I think, for West Ham. Like, as good as their players are and have been, Harry Kane is better than all of them. And so is Son. Yeah. So that's the problem that they've got there. Like, Declan Rice is an amazing player. Antonio's been great. Like, they've got, Souček was good the other day. Like, they've got all good individuals, but none of them come close to Son and Kane. So that's why I just think Tottenham do get the job done.
Guys, get your likes and subscribes in if you're not already, but also your comments. We want to know your takes on everything we're talking about tonight. But massively, I want to know what you think to our team. So let's move on to see our team reveals.
I mean, we can move on from this one, mate. Like, absolutely, this is not necessary. This feels like I'm being shamed in public. Yeah, disaster, absolute disaster.
It's slim pickings this week for many managers, but you just kind of look at it and go, I just want my players that are actually in my team that should be playing to actually play, and we already know that 2 of them aren't.
That's it. And if I had this 6 playing, I was reasonably confident that like it was going to be okay. Like, I thought, Kilman's got a decent chance of a clean sheet. Rafinha can definitely like produce something. If Wolves do concede, there's a good chance it's going to be Rafinha that scores anyway. So I was quite, I'm happy with that scenario. And then the others, like Saka captain, I think that seems reasonable. Gabriel clean sheet. I was like, this could turn out okay. But no, 2 of them already on the bench. We're not even at 8 o'clock on Friday night yet. So I'm not even on the bench, Rafinha. So yeah, it's not good, mate. I mean, I really don't have much to say about this team right now, apart from I can't wait till the game week's over.
You have one saving grace here, though, mate, and that is if your captain goes big, not many have captained Saka. Like, most have captained Kane or Son, right? So if Kane and Son blank, but Saka goes big, you're laughing. So
yeah, I mean, obviously, I couldn't afford to bring in either of those guys. So like, I had to look at, and I had Saka, and I've bought Lacazette in, just hoping really as well for a combination. Really, like I was like, what gives me something extra? And by having Lacazette, I'm like, well, if Saka scores and he gets an assist or even wins a pen and Lacazette converts it, like something like that might just help me in a game week like this. I mean, I don't want people to comment on this team, so thank you for that. It's been a bad season. I think it's about to get worse.
Let's check out my team. Let's move on to the 15 that I put together. I say 15, the 8 I put together, which is now looking like 6 as well. I'm absolutely devastated with that. So yeah, I've got Ramsdale, who I am confident will play despite the rumours. Doherty should play. Dean, we know, is out, and Dean I've actually just sold very close to the deadline. I swapped Dean for Amati, who Dean also has. Do you know Leicester have got the best chance of keeping a clean sheet this week if you go by the bookies odds, which is quite interesting. They've got 45% chance of keeping a clean sheet, Leicester. So I went off the bookies odds on that one. Wolves have got a 40% chance, Spurs a 36% chance, and Arsenal, I was considering Ben White, only a 30% chance. So I've gone with Leicester there, and Amati's just so cheap. I need some enablers. He's like 3.9.
Yeah, I mean, I watched that Rennes v Leicester game, and I feel like another team would have scored about 5 past Leicester in that game. So I'm not so convinced about that. But let's hope that you're right, because I've got him too.
Yeah, I hope so too. I mean, you look at Leicester and think Fofana and Evans are going to be back. Well, Fofana is, and Evans very soon. So there's a good chance Marty misses some games. But even if he does, I don't mind. He can rot on my bench at that price. I don't have a bench boost left. So if you have got a great 15-man squad, guys, and you don't have a bench boost left, try and slim that squad down now. We don't have cancellations due to COVID. We're unlikely to get them. You can get more money in your 11. I think now's the time to perhaps start doing it. So yeah, I've got Saka and Kulusevski in my midfield. Rafinha, a shame, but I wasn't willing to sell. If I had it confirmed that Rafinha was out before the deadline, I still don't think I would have sold him. I want him moving forward. Weghorst has a double next week. Finally, I might get something out of him. And then Harry Kane is my captain. So yeah, slim pickings all around. I'm expecting a red arrow. So both Dean and I are probably expecting red arrows. We are, of course, the faces of chasing green arrows. The irony there is something.
Yeah, I mean, I should definitely be on avoiding red arrows is probably what the show I should be on, mate. Judging by this season. I tell you what, though, next season, come back because I'm going to have an absolute belter next season. I was having a bad time. I didn't know I was going to end up doing a show like this, did I? So that's the problem. All the time to start up a show like this might be the worst time in my FPL. Well, almost certainly, to be honest.
Yeah, you'll take it so much more seriously now. Eyes are on your team as well. Yeah. Luke says the live stream on Monday is going to be awesome. It will, guys. Monday streams at 7. I love reacting to the game week just gone, and obviously we'll have some brilliant reaction to all those games that will have been played over the weekend. Of course, we've seen a lot of Mondays, but there's still a lot of football to be played. I'm pretty sure that the games this week, the 4 fixtures, are all played on Saturday, Sunday this week. So yeah, we'll be reacting and updating you on our ranks as well, maybe for that one too. Guys, carry on with your questions. Nuclear Atoms is asking about the stream rolling through the rocky roads of FPL. Okay, yeah, I guess it might be. But with Game Week 30 of the immovable object to road to his glory. Oh, I like it. How poetic, Nuclear. There's me trying to like glimpse at it and read it as I go. And no, it was well put together, that sentence. So you're bang on. Game Week 30 might just be the undoing of me. We'll find out on Monday night. What do you reckon, Dean? I'm very unlikely to get a green unless Kane goes big, I reckon.
Yeah, I was checking out the Chasing Green Arrows mini league, not to check out my position, to check out yours actually, mate, just to see, because I knew you had a good week. So I was like, I wonder how close he is. And you're 8th in the league at the moment, and you're on 2,005 points. The leader has 2,072. So let's see what happens there. Obviously, we can't pick his team at this point, but yeah, he's got a pretty decent team by the looks of it.
He's odds on then to win. So I've got 70 points to make up.
You've got 70 points to make up.
It's huge.
Yeah, but you've got a couple of chips in your pocket, so I don't know if he has.
True. I've got both free hits, guys. If you've joined our mini league, or if you haven't joined it, you're allowed to join it mid-season, right? So I don't know if we can just put up on the bottom strap in the next couple of seconds. I'm sure we can. The code to the mini league. If not, we can share it in the chat. But if you subscribe to the channel and you're part of the mini league, you can win a PS5. So definitely give it a go. And look, you might be thinking, oh, I'll only join at 20th or 25th. You never know. You go Uber differential one week, you use your chips when others don't, and you can shoot up any table. So there you go. The code's on the bottom. It's XKKULB. I think the site is updating at the moment on the Premier League website. So you might not be able to join just yet. Note that down, and probably in the next 20 minutes or so, the site will have updated and you'll be able to join our mini league.
Mohammed is actually winning the league. Yeah, he's
is he?
Yeah, he is the guy at the top. Yeah, I wasn't really looking at the names. I was looking at the team names, but yeah, he is number 1, mate. So that's the guy you're chasing.
Mohammed, can you let us know in the chat how many chips you've got left? Because I'm hunting you down, mate. I'm going for it. I want that PS5 myself.
Yeah, and also how many players are you fielding this week? Let's see what Gianni's up against.
Yeah, exactly. Mohammed, keep updating us as the weeks go on. Every Monday and Friday, and we'll be checking in with you. Luke says, didn't think Dean was so caring. Looking at where Gianni is in the league, how lovely Dean is. So nice. Yeah, look.
I don't look at my own position, do I? I might be Gianni. I got to root for someone on this show, and it's not going to be me. So yeah, I'm just looking for somebody to make sure we know what we're talking about.
Oh, Mohammed is sitting pretty. He's got a free hit and a bench boost. I think I prefer 2 free hits. Just like bench boost to me is the weakest chip. So you're still good though. You got 2. I was hoping you'd say you only had 1 chip.
He took a -8. He took a -8. So he's fielding 8 players. He's taken a -8. So he closed the gap already before the week's begun. Hopefully 2 of his players, for your sake, were Kilman and Rafinha.
Okay, good stuff. Mohammed, thank you very much for your contributions. And we will honestly, I'm going to be stalking your team every Monday and Friday. Let's move on, guys, to a feature that's my favorite part of the show. This is where we sell you the idea of not going for one player that might be a popular pick. So this is Against the Obvious. Yes, guys, I'm going to give you 60 reasons in 60 seconds why you shouldn't pick Ivan Toney. Here we go. Let's start it off. So, Ivan Toney shouldn't be in your team. Now, let us know in the chat if you have gone Ivan Toney. Now, look, if you've gone Ivan Toney, I'm calling you out on this one, team. You've gone Ivan Toney because you're chasing last week's points and you're chasing the points from the week before as well. Sure, he's got, 5 goals in 2 games. Let us not forget 3 of them were penalties. You cannot rely on penalties. Like, that's not a sustainable model. And sure, he sticks a penalty away like no one. He's very, very good at them. I don't remember him ever missing, but I don't think you can rely on that. Now, Eriksen in the team, yeah, that helps Toney. I would say they're just about safe in the Premier League. And I think in the next couple of weeks, he'll be on the beach, just like the rest of the Brentford team. Therefore, you don't want Toney. You want players chasing Europe or right on the edge of relegation. Toney will be a beach team player very soon. Therefore, he's definitely someone you should be swerving. Don't chase last week's points. Go for someone like Bamford instead. Bamford's going to ban Friday night. You heard it here first. There we go. 60 seconds. Just about managed there. Dean,
very good, mate. Very good. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you reckon, Tony? Am I calling that right? Is that a little bit ambitious?
I mean, the problem is we've said this for a couple of weeks now about him, and he is on pens. He's very good at pens. And as I said, I think on the last show, and it turned out to be true, having Christian Eriksen now in the side is a massive advantage. And somebody probably not only on his wavelength, he's probably beyond his wavelength, but it's just another source of goals. And the fact that Eriksen's on set pieces too is going to help Toney convert. So I understand what you're saying, though. I personally, I don't know if I've picked him all season, to be honest. I think he's got 107 points though over the course of the season. Like, was not expecting that from him in Brentford's first season in the Premier League. So he's done really well, but let's see if he's peaked.
Yeah, I hope he has peaked. I always looked at it earlier in the season and thought Mbomo was actually the Brentford forward to go with, knowing he was listed as a midfielder, but also seemed to be playing more in the number 9 channel. Earlier in the season, Toney was dropping so deep, and he was almost playing like a number 10, feeding the pacey Mbomo. And he wasn't doing that in the Championship, but it seemed to be a model that was working for them in the Premier League. But now Eriksen's there in the number 10 role. Toney does look a little bit closer to the goal. One of my good friends and one of the best FPL managers in the world. Like, he's been the Indian champion a couple of times. Is late riser. I'm sure many of you watch him, follow him on Twitter. Apparently, he has bought in Ivan Toney this week. So yeah, we will find out on Monday if that paid off or not. Before we introduce the person you're going for, Dean, when you start talking off the back of this, your 60-second countdown will be starting. So I'm going to throw to you to tell us why you shouldn't pick your man.
Should not pick Raul Jimenez. Now, Raul Jimenez, as somebody that's come back onto everybody's radar, of course, in this game week. We've only got 8 teams playing, so that makes sense. But consistency with which he's been putting out points recently just isn't very good. I mean, in the last 5 games, he got 2 points against Everton, a point against Palace, a point against West Ham, a point against Arsenal. I mean, it's just not good enough. He got 8 points, but it came against Watford. I look at this team, and I think that Leeds are going to be a lot more resolute than they have been in the past. And I'm just looking at the other 8 teams playing and thinking almost every one of these teams has a better striker option than Raul Jimenez. You look at Leeds, I prefer Bamford. Look at Villa, I prefer Watkins. Look at Arsenal, I prefer Lacazette. Leicester, maybe there's nobody fit. I don't think Vardy's ready. Toney at Brentford. Tottenham, obviously, you've got Kane, and West Ham have got Antonio. I think there are better options across the board. A lot of them have more points on the board this season than Jimenez. I just don't trust him at this stage.
Oh, what a pro. 60 seconds on the money. I hear you there, mate. Very compelling reasons not to go Jimenez. Let us know in the chat if you own Jimenez, if you're confident. Maybe one of you in the chat has even captained him. I don't know. But we can look at that Leeds fixture and think, oh, it's easy. But I don't think it is. Bielsa's not there anymore, remember, guys. So they're not as leaky as you might remember. And yeah, for me, as someone that's owned Jimenez a lot in FPL in the last couple of seasons, even when I was happy with him, his ceiling was always so low, Dean. He never got double digits. Like, he was always good value for maybe 1 goal or 1 assist, and even then never got bonus points with it. It was like you're getting 4 to 6 points, best case scenario. He's just not one of those explosive players you love in FPL.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, Nuclear says, considering Dean's luck this season, I won't be surprised Jimenez trolled him tonight. I mean, he's probably going to bang a hat-trick, isn't he? So I should probably put a separate bet on that right now, because every time, every decision I'm making these days, you'd think I don't watch football. I promise you I do. I watch a lot of football, and I speak to a lot of people in football. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't trust him at the moment, mate.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad to hear we have got some differential captains in. Daniel said he was going to captain Maddison, but bottled it and went Son. Okay, well, Son. Oh, yeah. Look, I'm not sure. We didn't do a predicted Leicester 11, but Maddison's been in that team. He's struggling to get in that 11 at the moment. He seems to be going with Dewsbury Hall a lot. So playing with 2 number 8s with Tielemans and Dewsbury Hall in a kind of 4-3-3. So the formation's not been set up for Maddison, but I'd have thought Barnes is probably the best Leicester midfielder to go with at the moment.
Yeah, I did see a few people bringing in Maddison, and I agree with you. Like, I haven't seen a lot from Maddison. I know that Brendan Rodgers has been a bit disappointed, and I'm trying to hope that he can raise his levels soon, because he should be having a much better season than the one he's having. Yeah, I mean, it would be a good differential in case he did deliver, but I think that expecting him to deliver is probably more than hope than expectation.
Yeah, I'm with you there. He's just got so much talent. He should be an amazing FPL asset. He should be a player, arguably at a bigger club than Leicester, but he's just not quite gone to that level.
There was a point when he went on a real streak. I don't know if it was last season or this. Probably was last season. Maddison was like, everyone had him. Everyone had him. But no longer.
Yeah, he did. And I think he even did perhaps the season before. I remember when Harry Maguire left and went Old Trafford, there was rumours that was Maddison going to follow suit, because both were having very good seasons, and it just didn't happen. And you look at that United team back then, especially, they were looking for a player like Maddison. I mean, I guess they went and signed Bruno not long after, but he wouldn't look out of place in a team like United, would he?
No, he wouldn't. No. And he's just got to get back to the level we know he's all capable of. But Praveen says for this week, he's definitely only chasing grey arrows. I'll take anything but red, I'll tell you that, judging by my team.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
I mean, FPL River Kane clearly the standout captain this week. I mean, there's no doubt about that, is there?
No. Like if you don't have Kane and he does bang, and Dean, I know you don't, but it's one where you look at your mini league rivals and think, 3 out of 5 of them, 4 out of 5 of them have probably got Kane, and they probably captained him. So you will have a big red just off the back of that one move. I'm just checking to see the effective ownership of Harry Kane. I'm just seeing, because the game has updated, if I can load something on live FPL. I don't think it's ready just yet, but it'll be way over 100%, I think. Mohamed's asked about Dan James as a bit of a differential, Dean. Is he someone you would look at now? There's new management, there's a tweak in formation. Leeds have still got a huge amount to play for. I'm just looking to see his price and his position, because I'm pretty sure he's listed as a midfielder. Yeah, he's 6.0 midfielder.
Yeah. No, I don't really like Dan James as an FPL player. Like, I think he's good for Leeds, and I like the intensity with which he plays, but I'm never sure when he's going to deliver. He does, like there'll be a few times a season when he really delivers and his output is good, but a lot of the time he's just playing very well, and that's it. And that's no good for us, is it?
Exactly that. Like some of these players that look lively and catch the eye, you go, okay, maybe they become an FPL option, or maybe they are just those expected lively players that actually do a lot of great stuff but don't produce goals or assists. Like one that stung me last season, and actually think he will be a good FPL asset at some point, was Lamptey. I was watching Lamptey play every week going, you're so lively, the expected liveliness, like we joke about expected goals, expected assists. It was like expected lively with Lamptey. And he rarely got assists and he didn't get any goals. And it was like, okay, he's just the same. I might as well buy Adam Webster. I know plays every week.
Yeah, but I know what you mean. He, like Lamptey, he's going to boom at some point, and I think that there will come a time. It might not even be with Brighton. It might be that he gets a transfer, and that's where that happens. You know.
Yeah, I'm sure he will. And again, I'm keen to see when Potter has his preferred position for him, because we've seen him in a back 4, we've seen him in a back 5, we've even seen him in a midfield 4. And for me, I want to see him wing back more often. Luke said about Chelsea defence, and look, Chelsea are a team we should absolutely be looking at come game week 31, and that's purely because they're owed a fair few fixtures and they have got a sea of green in terms of who they're up against. They've got a double in 33. The Odegaard game still on top of that. Who would we be going for? I mean, Reece James is there a question mark over his fitness even when he does come back? Because he's trained today, Reece, so he's likely to be back to 31, but we just don't know how long he'll be back for, and surely they'll prioritise those 2 Real Madrid games.
Yeah, you're right. That's the big issue now. Like the fact they've got Real Madrid and they're not really going anywhere in the Premier League, are they? Like, obviously, you want to sustain a certain level, but if there's already been proven doubts over how regularly he can play, you might be tempted to just pull him out and pay Azpilicueta or whoever else in that position for those league games to just make sure that James is fresh for the biggest games of the season. Now, Chelsea's priority is obviously retaining the Champions League. It has to be that. But we'll have to wait and see. We'll make a call nearer the time, because if James is going to play in the Premier League, the chances are he's going to rack up points. Like that's the issue. We'll have to try and read into what Tuchel's saying.
Yeah, I think so. I'll be monitoring all those pre and post match press conferences from Tuchel, because there is value in that Chelsea defence. If it's not James, I still think the likes of Chalobah's 4.7 can get a huge amount of game time and could be a pick. Obviously, Rudiger's a favourite. Thiago Silva's been reliable. Will Alonso be an asset? I'm not so sure. He's been in and out, and he likes playing Sarr in a back four, so he can then play Ziyech in this weird hybrid wing-back / front three player, which he does when he plays Sarr. So definitely one to monitor, Luke. But yeah, Reece James will definitely have a big rise in popularity for sure.
Guys, what's your comment of the week so far, mate?
Comment of the week. We had a few good ones, didn't we? I quite enjoyed the Insta mention from Nuclear Rat. I was asking who my wife was gonna captain. I'm not sure. I'm scrolling through at the moment, and as I'm doing this, guys, please do like and subscribe to the channel. There's a fair few watching that haven't liked, so give us a thumbs up. And look, let us know if you think we can get to 1,000 subscribers. That's a realistic target, I think, by the end of the season. Also, let us know what you think to that against the obvious. What do you think to Dean's shout of Jimenez or my shout of Tony? And do you have one yourself? Laura's with us. Is Harvey Barnes, Dean, worth keeping after this game week?
Probably not. I don't have faith in any Leicester players outside of this game week, to be honest. Like, this is a good week to have them, but if Vardy's fit, you can still have Vardy, but it's probably the only other Leicester player I would really look to own. So it depends, really, like what you're looking for. And what's Harvey Barnes' value at the moment?
6.5.
6.5, yeah. So I think you're probably better off elsewhere, to be honest. You can even get Odegaard's less than that, isn't he? So there are players out there that you can get better value out of who are going to have something to play for between now and the end of the season.
Yeah, I think I like the fixtures to the green, and I like the fact they're owed loads of fixtures, as many as anyone else. I think them and Burnley are owed the most. It just comes down to, are they prioritising like European football, and how will they look in the Premier League? So one to monitor. But for Brentford, I like it. I think Harvey Barnes could be involved in Brentford. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm a bit jealous there, actually. I'd swap him for Rafinha on that 1 week if I could now. But Rafinha long term for me would be the one. So guys, let's have a look at what was our comment of the week. We can bring it up, I think, on screen. Here we go. It was from Punter saying, Dean, showing your team or playing a game of pool with Gianni, what would be more embarrassing?
How good are you, mate?
With my left or right? When you have your own table, you get bored. I've got no one to play with, so I just started playing left-handed like a couple of years ago to be like, oh, I may as well, because I watched Ronnie O'Sullivan always break with his left hand and was like, God, that's got.
You might play against yourself, like your right hand versus your left hand, and just like a little competition between yourself, and just like put on different voices. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
That sounds ominous. I'm not embarrassed by my team.
No, you're in the same boat as so many others, mate. There are going to be so many hits taken this week as well, and there'll be managers taking -8s and -12s that barely break even. So I think you're fairly strong just because you didn't even take a hit.
Yeah, I'll be all right. I'll bounce back from this next week. Watch, just you lot watch. Mugging me up.
So that wasn't comment of the week. We actually have comment of the week now. And that was from Fergus. Okay, so Fergus says, going to see a bunch of Rafinha owners chaining themselves to the woodwork tonight.
Very good. Very good.
Good value there, Fergus. We'll see if we can.
Mate. Well done, like it.
Yeah, very on trend. We enjoy the drama there. So Fergus, hopefully you can make it into comment of the week again, maybe on Monday night. You certainly add very good value to the chat. Guys, thank you very much for joining us. Before you do, just want to give a shout out to subscribing to the channel, but also just to telling your mates about it, right? Like whether you're telling mates you see in person, whether you're tweeting the link to encourage more people to subscribe and perhaps follow us and get involved in these chats every Monday and 7 at 7. Every Monday and 7. Every Monday and Friday at 7. I've really lost my words tonight. It's been a long week. I think I've got a bit of sunstroke earlier from walking the dogs as well. So on that note, guys, I've been Gianni, the FPL guy. He's been Dean, the Football Insider, and we'll be back Monday at 7 p.m. Thanks for watching.